Hi, this is your Sapna Bharti and we are here at KubeCon and Cloud EduCon in Salt Lake City, Utah. And today we have with us once again Sheng Liang, CEO and co-founder of Acorn Labs. Sheng, it's great to see you again.
Great to see you too.
And we have known each other for so long, and the work that you're doing in space, of course, after venture, before that also you had a company, and you're like serial entrepreneur. And now Acorn, early this year, you folks also changed the focus, more
Yes.
focused on AI.
Yes.
So and you got great traction. I talked to Solomon Hayek, and he brought up the name of the company,
Yes.
that the work you folks are doing and how they're leveraging. So I want to just talk about, ever since you changed the focus, how the company, the project is evolving.
Yeah, it's going
Or
really well.
before that, just let's talk about what is Acorn Labs.
Absolutely, yeah, it's going really well. So, Acorn Labs, we're building AI infrastructure. So, what basically that means is in the AI world, if you kind of look at AI, there are really four layers. We all know the semiconductor layer, the NVIDIA's, AMD's of the world. Then one layer on top of that are the models. That's really where the magic happens, right? Then a level on top of that would be the AI platform, the platform layer that makes it easy for people to leverage the models. Then finally, you build applications. So where the layer we play at is the AI platform. So Acorn, we're building an AI agent platform called Otto8. It's OTTO 8, like number 8, Otto8. And this is still kind of under development. We haven't, because we do everything open source. We don't ever put it under wraps and keep it as a secret. In open source, you actually want to design and building the open as well, right? So you go to GitHub, you'll actually see this Otto8 project. And the reason we're building that is we see so many companies now, they're trying to leverage large language models for their own business use. So ideally what they want is a ChatGPT for their business, but they don't want their ChatGPT for business function like the normal ChatGPT. They don't want to function it just to answer questions that are already on the internet. They wanted this ChatGPT to actually work with their own internal systems and their own data. So it can go into a Kubernetes cluster and figure out what's going on. It can go into their Office 365 applications and maybe read calendar entries, compose emails, understand customer interactions. Maybe it can go into, say, a Salesforce instance and understand their sales pipeline. So this is what we're building. We're building a platform called Otto8 that makes it extremely easy. So these AI teams inside the enterprise can build the next generation AI native apps that function as co-pilots for all the knowledge workers in a company. Because we already know today, programmers are getting a lot of benefit out of something like GitHub Copilot, right? But really, everyone can use a Copilot. If you're a white-collar worker, you're a knowledge worker, you're a business user, your job basically consists of reading emails, looking up information in a variety of SaaS apps or internal apps, then compose emails to drive the business process. So really, imagine if a lot of that could be automated with a language model, and then all you have to do is monitor and approve and maybe modify the result the AI has created for you. You could be so much more effective. And in fact, the job satisfaction rate would be so much higher. So that's what Acorn does. And open source product we're building is called Otto8. It enables AI teams in these businesses to build co-pilots for their employees and for the customers.
When we talked last time also, and now it's like a couple of months now, and when you automate, is it ready for production? As you said, it's open source, that people can start. What I understand is that open source versus product.
Yeah.
So is it ready? It's been used? What kind of customers, users you have?
Yeah, it's still being built. So what we did we announced a company pivot about 6-7 months ago, and we've been building towards this product ever since. In the meantime, we've shipped a few open source projects that are basically milestones toward this product. There's one project called GPTScript, which is something we use to build up the tools that the AI would use, that the LLMs would leverage. Like, because I already said, what we're really building is like an enterprise chat GPT that can interface with your apps and data. But GPTScript is a project that allows you to integrate enterprise apps and data into an LLM. So we built that first, and that's been a successful open source project. But that by itself is not a product. It's no business user or IT can use it. It's really more targeting developers. And then we also built an open source project called Clio, CLIO, and that's got a bit of attraction too. It's a way for folks to build assistants that perform one kind of integration, meaning CLI, because in the DevOps world, there are a lot of CLIs. And it turns out it's particularly easy for LLMs to integrate with CLI, because unlike these APIs, which could get quite verbose and quite complicated, CLIs are usually designed for human consumption. And they're actually a lot easier for AI to understand as well. And if they don't understand it, AI would even do something like a kubecontrol -- help. And then just the help screens that were built into the CLIs for humans are also useful for LLM. So we've been building these projects. Now we're almost there building the Otto8 product. And this will be an 100% open source product. We're comfortable with that. We're probably one of the few companies remaining still believing just 100% open source. Just like what we did for Rancher. We didn't hold anything back because we believe it's such an early market. We got to get the product right. Once you get the adoption, there'll always be ways to monetize. Maybe sometime in the distant future, we'll think about a proprietary open core edition, but we're not working on that kind of stuff yet. And we will be, in the short term, we'll just be monetizing on support.
Right. One thing is that even when I look at your booth, there's a lot of traffic throughout the day because your booth is across from my recording studio here. So how are you able to, because companies, they come up with a product and then they still struggle to get people on their booth. What is the magic sauce you have? I'm pretty sure it's not a secret sauce that you're getting that traction even at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always find it to be harder to figure out what to build than to build something, right? And I think one thing we paid a lot of attention to is over the last few months, before and since we did the pivot, we always shipped open source technology. And what open source technology allows you to do is get that initial engagement with user very early on. That's really helpful. So, a lot of companies, a lot of products are built based on someone's vision or someone's insight about what would be useful. But sometimes they don't get it right. So the benefit of doing things in the open as open source is you get the feedback very early. That's very helpful. And I think the other thing that helps is AI right now is a pretty hot topic. So, Otto is actually not a DevOps focused product. It's designed supposed to be for knowledge workers who needs co-pilots. So not just DevOps engineers could use co-pilots, but HR reps or salespeople, there are also those kind of use cases. But for this show, we created a Kubernetes co-pilot specifically for this show. And I think that also attracted a lot of attendees to come take a look.
Another thing, when I look at your booth also, it says open source AI platform. Now, when it comes to AI and open source, they don't go that well as open source could go in the LAMP stack. It's a bit of a complication when you talk about open source. There are a lot of gray areas. How do you see open source in the AI space?
No, I think at the platform layer, open source, most of the platforms will be open source. I said there are 4 layers, right? The bottommost is the semiconductor, and that obviously, NVIDIA dominates, and that someday maybe there'll be other options. And at the model layer, the model algorithms these days are amazingly open source, but the weights generally are not. There are open weight models like Llama, which have been pretty successful, but yeah, it's at least from my perspective, the best models are still the closed source models like OpenAI. And at the platform layer, what we're seeing is when we go into a customer, customers typically mention they hear the same kind of pitch as we're giving from the likes of Microsoft and Google. Microsoft has a product called Copilot Studio. So they initially designed Copilot. Actually, they initially designed Copilot for GitHub. Then it becomes Windows Copilot. So it also works for Windows. Then it becomes Microsoft Copilot because it works for Office and a bunch of other apps. But now with Copilot Studio, you can build connections to any app, your own custom app. So it's very similar to what we're doing, right? You can literally in Microsoft Copilot develop a Kubernetes cluster, so it can help, figuring out what's going on in your Kubernetes cluster, help troubleshoot your production issues. It's very similar to what we do. So obviously they're closed source, and we have to compete against them. It is so beneficial for us to have an open source product. It's just otherwise for a little company like us, we cannot go in, do a top-down sell. And the fact that we can have an open source project and the practitioners, and we make it very easy for practitioners to go download that open source project binary and install it and then be able to run it and be able to work with the community. We cannot win against Microsoft or Google with our pure technical might. But being an open source project, I think we're just more agile and more in tune with what the community wants, right? So this is almost, I feel like this is the path startup companies almost have to take to have a shot, because as you go, AI space is heavily over invested. Just about anything in those 4 layers, there are lots and lots of options, and open source is such a great way to stand out.
This question may be uncomfortable, but when we analyst or
There's
a lot
nothing
of
that's
yeah,
uncomfortable.
so
Go
they
ahead.
do say that we are going through this whole hype, a bubble of AI, Gen AI, which will burst like .com boom. Yes, hype is always bad. But the fact is that some of these generative technologies or LLMs, they have seeped into product level as using. So yes, a lot of hype will go away, but it will still remain some of those foundational technologies. What are your thoughts on that, and what kind of concern you have for Acorn? Because you, as I said, you're still in the phase of building the project. Product is still far. You have this confidence. We will productize it when it's ready.
Yeah.
So how do you see the market evolve? Are you worried about hype and bubble?
I think what gives me confidence is what I see the technology can do today. So at Acorn, we're not expecting models to get tremendously better. Like, we're already doing tremendously amazing things with the both the like OpenAI model and open source Llama model today. So that gives me a lot of confidence. And also the kind of problem we're trying to solve are not making robots work or making AGI a reality or even make autonomous driving work. I think those are very difficult. But really, if you look at, on the other end, you see, I think the success of GitHub Copilot really cannot be argued against. And I have to also remind you that GitHub Copilot was actually, I first used GitHub Copilot before ChatGPT was even released. Like GitHub Copilot was actually built on GPT-3 Codex model way before ChatGPT. So it even predated the ChatGPT LLM hype. So there's definitely a lot of stuff that's real. And you know, I was the kind of problem we're trying to solve, right? Like we work with an insurance company where their claims handlers today will get these emails. The user would describe a problem in plain text, often with lots of typos and lots of contradictions. And then that email also comes with a bunch of attachments, photos, you know, driver licenses. And then the insurance agent is then supposed to use their knowledge of the policies to make a decision, create a response, right? And then also structure the data. So the language model can do such a better job, and it can do it so quickly so that it actually creates a draft that is proven to be more accurate than I mean, it's probably not 100% accurate, but it's just so much more accurate than what the human can do on balance. And then the human still reviews it, further improves it, right? And then we have an audit trail of everything. So you know, just like GitHub Copilot has improved developer productivity, I see these kind of copilots would across the board would improve knowledge worker productivity by so much. And this is such a big part. This is trillions and trillions of costs, right? And we're not talking about eliminating positions, because the reality is, I'll give you another example. You know, the HR rep working for a mid-sized company with employees worldwide, and the poor rep has to get up every morning with dozens of emails in her inbox already, folks sending in questions all over the world, asking about, you know, benefit information, policy, company policy, employee processes. So she then have to do the research, compose the response, and pretty much spend the whole day doing it. And if there's going to be a meeting or some project, then she had to take the work home. There's just not enough time to both handle the daily groundwork and actually try to improve the efficiency. So now with an HR copilot that's built on top of something like Otto8, we would read the inbox first, and then we would also compare the questions against the corporate policy that's published in PDF that we already know. We get the benefits information for every country. We will also log into their Workday or Rippling or Deal, just get the information about the employees, and then we compose the response. And then the HR rep, all she had to do is to review the response, make sure it's correct, which I already said on balance, it's much more accurate than what a human could come up with. And then decide, and then just send the email, right? And that just reduces groundwork so much. And then the person can now have a much better work-life balance, and she can, spend much more time thinking about actually how to improve the business processes and how to improve how to serve the employees better. So this is the kind of impact I'm seeing. There's really no hype about this. The technology is already there. The products are not there yet. So we're working as hard as we can, as fast as we can, to make these things a reality.
I know you may not want to answer this question right now, but do you have any roadmap that, hey, this is when it will be ready as a product, or you're like, we'll talk about it when it's ready? Or do you have any?
We're very close. So there's not going to be so far we've been building open source projects like GPTScript and Clio, and our next open source project will be the same as the product, and it's called Otto8, and OTTO, and then the numeric 8. And it's already on the GitHub. It's just not quite polished enough that we're ready to let customers deploy it, but we're very close. And once that we will have I mean, we're sitting here. It's mid-November. We'll have it actually ready for folks to use this year, which is about a month away. We're about a month away from holiday season, right? So we're very close, and I really look forward to next year when this product is going to be putting hundreds of customers' hands, and hopefully will improve productivity and work-life balance and work quality of lots of business users and customers.
Sheng, once again, thank you so much for being nice and take time to talk about me, give us an update on where Acorn Labs, especially Otto8, and as you said, that we are almost there. So I'm excited, when that happens, and I would love to talk to you again when that happens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's so much fun to work with AI technologies, and it's so much fun to build it in open source and build it in the open.